All right. So hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Trick Podcast of Joy and Goso TV on this beautiful Wednesday morning, right? It's 3 p.m. How about Wednesday afternoon, 3 p.m.? I've been, man, going nonstop the last few days. It's been really fun, mostly with our beautiful Canela's graduation, which happened yesterday. If you saw it, she finished school, I think it was the week before with all her finals. And then she went through the ceremony yesterday. And then I think on Saturday we're going to actually do another little shindig to keep celebrating. So always thankful for these accomplishments. And then we have our other two beautiful children who will be graduating over the next year or two from also either Long Beach State, or we'll see what young David does. But beautiful, beautiful times. I'm sure you've seen all the pictures. You probably either have someone in your own family, sorry about the volume there, that is graduating, or you have a friend, family, etc., who is in the middle of also graduation. So congratulations to all of the graduates. But I was thinking today a little bit about kind of looking at all of my options and choosing one or two. And I guess thinking about how I do have a little bit of a concern, fear, all of the above about what the heck am I going to do with my life to bring home a paycheck, as my business coach often reminds me, which of course is always on my mind as well. It's been 9 months since the my last church and I parted ways, and that was last time that I had a steady check, and definitely has been a huge shock and shaking of our budget systems, all of the above. By the grace of God, we're doing well. But obviously, I want to bring home the bacon, and not even that, but of course, I want to contribute to my life and to the lives of others. And so I wanted to go over some of the options and things that I've learned in these 9 months. 9 months, obviously, being a very specific and unique time of length of time. 9 months or 37 weeks, I believe, is when a child is born. So you have kind of this birth kind of season, you could say. And so what has been born? What have I noticed in these last 9 months? What are my options, and what am I going to choose to do? What can I choose? Do I have the luxury to choose? Well, I think starting with maybe a little bit of my personality and some of my hangups, I am resisting often feeling like I don't have any options and living in fear because I don't have a master's degree, or I haven't finished it, because I feel like I don't have any real, um, and of course this is all lies, but I feel like I don't have any real skills. Not true. I don't have this. I kind of can go down the path of who I'm not, and I'm sure maybe you can relate to that. I um, I often think negatively about what I should do or can't do, or what are my options. And so I'm always fighting that, which is really, I think, battle number one. I win it, I would say, about 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, which is wonderful. Thank you, Lord, for that. I would say second, I also think a lot about what I don't want to do and I do want to do, and blaming myself again, kind of going back to number one about why am I not just a guy that just does one thing for 50 years? Why am I this mosaic kind of person who does this and that and the other? Because everyone tells you that that's the number one way to fail at life, right? Doing all these things. And I do feel that maybe I'm not where I need to be, I should be at this stage and age of my life, because I am so all over the place. But, ironically, a YouTuber, Andrew Huang, shout out to Andrew Huang, he gave me hope. It's this kid in Toronto who's a music producer, YouTuber, when he said, and even this is silly to say, but I don't know, it's my truth. He said that people think that way of him, that he would be more successful, even though he has millions of followers on YouTube. So he is successful. And that's how he makes his living, YouTube and music. I wish I could do that. But anyway, people have said that he would be more successful still if he would just stick to one thing. Because he, in his channel, he does talk about a lot of things, from being his own musician to talking about gear. He has a lot of things on gear, to entertaining people just with how he produces music. I would say, if I think of Andrew Huang, I wouldn't say, oh, I love his music or even his skills as a producer. I would say he's entertaining. So he's a perfect YouTuber, right? Anyway, his whole video was about how his one thing is being about all these things, and the fact that in everything he does, he likes to entertain people. And that's his one thing. And it got me thinking about, in everything that I do, what is the consistent? What is the strain that is consistent, or the string that is consistent, no matter what I'm doing, music or coaching or pastoring or teaching or you name it, right? Well, it is Jesus. For me, everything that I do comes from a pastoral perspective. I have always, as I can remember, loved the church. And that's unique. Andrew Huang doesn't love the church. He doesn't want to teach the Bible, right? Or help people meet Jesus, obviously. That's not his thing. So this is my thing. I am a pastor at heart. Now, how do I express that? Well, I've expressed it in a million ways since I was a young person. For many years, it was worship. But even when it was music, it wasn't just that. I was creating, I was teaching, I was counseling, I was doing all the stuff that a lead pastor would do. Then I became an administrator. Then I became a lead pastor. And I loved it. But I would say now I sometimes struggle. Sometimes I want to go back. Like, ask me now, offer me a job to pastor Church A down the street, and I would do it tomorrow. Would I do it? I would probably do it, but I think that what I've learned in being a pastor all these years, a lead pastor, teaching pastor, is that I am someone who likes to start and fix and heal and improve things. I'm an Enneagram 3, and so that often means that I love to make things happen right away and go from A to Z in a year, maybe 2-3 years. And I'm not really great at managing or at kind of maintaining things or coming up with tighter systems or doing the same thing every year. I am the Miracle-Gro of, you could say, of life. If your flowers are pretty, well, I'm going to come in and make them amazing. And so I've been that way my whole life, since I was 7 years old, 8 years old, always being the best, Enneagram 3, achiever, always the best at everything that I did. And not necessarily one to just do the same thing over and over again. I am a creative, after all. I am a innovator, kind of ahead of his time kind of thing, right? Now, how do you turn that into $1 million? Well, I've had success my whole life. I've made a wonderful living, and I have everything that I want. Right now, of course, it's happened once before. Yeah, I think once only, right? Yeah. I'm in this kind of liminal space, and it really always comes down to asking myself, who am I? So, for example, when this happened, was that the first time or the second time? I don't know. Maybe this is the third time. I don't know. Let's just say the last time, or the first time that I remember this happened, it was a time when I didn't want to do church ministry anymore. I was done with it for many reasons, mostly pain and racism and systems and a lot of horrible things that the church has done, and beautiful things also that the church has meant to me. I was done. I've been done with church, I would say, yes, 2-3 times. And every time I do these other things and I'm really happy, and then my heart goes back to the church, because as I've said, I love the ministry of the church, Jesus, helping people connect with God. I love everything about the teaching the Bible, worship, the environments, working with people, ministering to people, seeing them come to Jesus, evangelizing, teaching young people especially about who God is, mentoring, coaching, and then of course the music, the teaching, the Bible, the communicating, all the things, the media, all of that has always been in the context of the church. Always, and it always will be. So now, what is my title? How do I bring a check home? It's always a question, or it's a question now, like it was back then. Well, back then, as I said, I became an administrator and loved it. I really did. Probably the best job that I've ever had. Even though it was far and it wasn't the best paying, but I loved the combination of ministry and business and coaching and students and young and old and all these things. I loved it. Plus, it was at USC, a beautiful university, and it had all these great things about it. So fast forward to today. What are my options? I don't know. I guess when I am in my truth, the options are endless. I live not in scarcity, but in abundance. So when I'm living in abundance, the options are endless to me. Now, when I live in scarcity, then yeah, I think, well, I have no options. I have to go back to do this, or I'm going to just go drive Lyft or work at AutoZone or whatever, be a driver for famous celebrities. I get really, I guess, disappointed, or yeah, I feel like I don't have any options. So that's no good, right? When I live in my truth, when I live in my abundance, knowing that I'm about Jesus, knowing that God has given me so many gifts and talents, knowing that my seminary training and all of my licenses and all of the things and masters and all of the stuff that God has given me and that I've been through, they give me a confidence and a certain degree of ability that I know is from God. So when I'm living in abundance, right? So what does that mean? What does that look like? Well, what do I want? Always start with what do you want, right? What I want is ideally, it would be to make a living doing media and music. That would be it. Whatever that means. Music, building media centers, producing content for people, my own, of course, music and media, having my own content become, quote, viral, and like Andrew Huang, having a million subscriber channel and be able to make $1 million a year through content. Of course, that would be my first choice. That's what I want the most, because at the end of the day, I believe in my content, teaching, music, all that stuff. I enjoy that. I enjoy imparting, helping people, and teaching other people. And I'd like to do it online. Well, has that worked? Not really. Not a lot of followers, not a lot of people, not a lot of viewers, all that stuff. And so, okay. So number 2 is doing those same things in real life. I would say that is what I enjoy the most. I love being in groups, in rooms, in real life settings, church, of course, and or groups, or even Zoom Bible studies or Zoom coaching calls. I enjoy being in a room teaching. I've done so many of it myself. Plus I also have watched a lot of different videos on coaches that are teaching production or recording or the Bible or communication or whatever, things that I enjoy, things that I believe are my skills. And I've done some of it, not enough, and it hasn't become my main source of income, but I would love to have that be a second income stream. That's not just my content, but me producing or teaching, coaching other people to do what I'm doing. So, for example, I would love to teach Bible studies, of course, as a pastor, of course. I would love to teach the Bible on Sunday mornings, of course. I would love to then teach music, recording techniques, voice, maybe some piano, maybe some guitar. And I would love to even do like some sort of choir or something, like a way to reach our community through singing, and to do workshops, as I said. Though that would be amazing to make a living through those things, going back to the online space, of course, being an online content creator. That would be maybe number 1 up there. But I would say, well, and then also the whole life coaching thing, working with especially young people in the area of anxiety and fear. Of course, you know how I talk about that a lot, and I have training in that area. I would love to be able to make $1 million using those skills. Combining all of those is my point. Something that also has happened this year that I've learned is I worked with one church in the area of media. I loved it. Not so much sound, but I mean, not even quote, I don't know, live streaming, but more digital content and creating content. That is what I love. I don't mind doing the behind the scenes for a Sunday morning service, but that's not really what I love. What I love is creating content, is that idea of content creation. That is something I really enjoy, helping churches tell their stories through digital, through the media, through the digital space. Helping, it don't have to even be churches. It could be an athlete. It could be a real estate agent. It could be a lawyer. It could be an attorney, lawyer attorney. It could be an influencer. A lot of pastors that are influencers who have large audiences, 10,000, 20,000 people. I would love to come alongside that person, or it can be 800 people, and be their digital content creator, produce basically their content. I would love to work at a radio station, a TV station. You could say that this is what this is, right? But the problem, of course, is an audience, right? But I would love to be able to create content, or to be on the radio or TV with this beautiful face, and be able to get paid, let's say ESPN. I'm not a sports guy, but nor a boxing guy, but some channel like that. Let's say, who knows, not TBN, but radio, Christian, blah, blah, something, right? And be one of the presenters, be the Don Francisco of some program where I can use my gozo gifts and my gifts of laughter and gabbing and talking and working with other people, music, of course, and create some sort of variety show, something entertaining that would go to the masses. I have always wanted, back to church and content, to help churches create income through selling digital content, like a Hulu Plus, like an HBO Plus, like Disney Plus, all these platforms. Even though, Netflix is losing a ton of money, but people are always going to want to consume content. And so to help church especially create daily content, or maybe it's not even daily, it's maybe 4 times a year, Christmas and Easter, so that whatever movie or show or series comes out of that church is on demand and it's paid for. And to help them, as I said, generate income streams, let's say an extra $20,000, $50,000 a year, where they can generate that kind of income through storytelling. And I would say I would love to do ministry on the side, to be able to teach and coach and lead worship or help with worship as a volunteer ministry, to do that on the side, to help in many ways, like I'm doing now at a small church that I believe in, that is going places, and invest both my beautiful wife and I and our kids' time and energy into this one church, so that, but just as members, not as pastors, not as a paid thing, where we can help this church, especially a younger church, to grow. And that's kind of where we're at. So in many ways, what I'm doing now is my dream come true. It's just, I'm not making $1 million yet, so my friend says. And that is the frustrating part. And that's where my brain begins to panic, and where it would be easy to settle and to, quote, go get a church job, which, as I said, I love the church. I mean, and as I said at the beginning, if church down the street called me tomorrow and say, hey, come be our lead pastor, I might do it. Not out of desperation, but because I love the church. Now, I'm not actively out there interviewing or even applying for jobs in the church as pastor. Worship is something that, yes, I've done, but if I'm going to choose between lead and worship, I would do lead every 10 out of 10 times. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, the idea of an interim pastor. I would love that idea because it fits this kind of thing of going in and making things better, establishing systems, developing teams, developing healthier and better habits, developing, bringing in better ideas and gear, and as I said, new income streams, helping the church to raise money and volunteers, making things better with production, with worship, with teaching, with the whole thing. As an interim, I was thinking of something else though, that was coming to mind that I was considering. It'll hit me. But in many ways, what I'm doing is my dream come true. It really is. I even called a friend who hires life coaches. Excuse me, hires life coaches, but it's $20,000 to become a trained coach through them, and then I don't think they really provide clients, or they might. So yeah, that wasn't the right setup for me. What was I thinking about? Something that I thought, that could be an idea. There's something out there, but I can't think of it. But the idea of being able to produce content, I think, is where my heart is for the church. I love the church. I love what it does. I'll just repeat what I was saying. Maybe that'll help me remember what I was trying to think of. If Church Down the Street calls me, I would do it in a second. I probably would accept that. I would want to begin to expand and do different things than just the same old thing. Pastoring a large church, that would be amazing. I'm trying to think of what I was thinking about. But so living in a abundance mentality, right? This is what a lot of young people, speaking of graduations, are going through. You don't have to be a midlife like me. You can be 20 or 22 and graduating college, and you're thinking, everybody tells me there are a million options, but I'm not sure what I'm capable of. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. I only have this. I only have that. I don't have this. And even though you could say, well, come on, you're a 20-year-old, young, beautiful, young person. How can you not be filled with positivity and options? Well, it goes back to this, right? And this is where the battle is as well, for others as well as for me. It's up here. It's believing with an abundant mentality, not with scarcity, not with, okay, I only have these two options and I have to do these, but instead, no, wait a minute, the sky's the limit. And then to have the perseverance, the strength to persevere, to continue. And as I was watching, shout out to my friend Water Walker, he sent me a thing by Denzel. Here's the rub. Just because you're moving doesn't mean you're progressing. And I feel like there at times I'm just moving and just doing things that aren't really, I don't see any benefit of it. Like, where is the beef? Where is the income? And especially if it's something that is a lot of work and it takes a long time to do. I have another option. I don't know if it's an option yet, but a possibility, a feeler of a place here in the Orange County area, maybe it's more like Riverside, that may need a production director. I would enjoy that. I could come in, same thing, and make all their production to amplify, to blow it up, to make it better, and to be able to then say, okay, I did my job, give me my bag, and here's your manual, and sayonara, adios, amigo. I would love that. Improving things, making things better. Working for a TV, as I said, maybe even behind the scenes, being the producer of my own TV show, or back to church, of the church's TV or content creation channel, being the producer, working with a team saying, hey, you guys create content and you guys do the behind the scenes and you guys do the graphics and you guys do the storytelling, and we're going to have a broadcast, a show every night at 7 p.m. on YouTube, and we're going to have it be like a ESPN thing with sports. Maybe we're going to have like a Oscars and nominate the best films and all these things and keep it entertaining, and me being a producer. I would love that. I would love that, no doubt about it. I was just reading about Kevin Hart a couple months ago and how he just raised $110 million, or I think it was. He didn't raise, but I think Disney, was it? Hulu invested $110 million into Kevin Hart's Beats media company, because I think it was Hulu. They believe in digital content so much that they're investing $110 million of their own pocket into Kevin Hart's media company so that he can create content and they can get a piece of the pie. Yes, that's exactly what I want to do for the Christian world. Not a TBN, no, but to create content, to be the place where people come to, and where we have an amazing studio, a whole building worth maybe 2 stories of rooms and media rooms and podcasting rooms and sets and all, you name it, cameras and gear and lights. And I'm the director, CEO, producer. I'm working with a staff, working with 2, 3 people, my daughter and a couple other people, to create content for the church, because I believe in the message of the Bible, of course. And I could have a show, but I don't really even need to have a show. I would like to be the president and the CEO of a media empire for Jesus, no doubt about it. It's maybe, let's just say, it's the new TBN, it's the new PTL, it's the new whatever, the 700 Club, God forbid. But it would be a new generation, even though I'm not a new generation age, but to work with people that are new generation, that are going to create content for TikTok and Instagram Reels and whatever else is next. And to bring my heart, most of all, for Jesus and for the church and media and music, and to be able to then create content for whoever may come to us. And we can help you if you want to build your own media room, and we can do that. But better yet, you can come to our studios and we'll do it for you. And we'll produce all the content that you need. That would be my dream. And then be able to, as I said, teach and preach and lead Bible studies and lead worship on the side as a volunteer. So it's not a burden on the church. It's not a burden on me to have to do all that stuff. I've already done it. And we can all live happily ever after. And if you would like to be a donor to this cause and be an investor, is a better way to put it, for $1 million, for $80,000, for $150,000, then please, let's do this, because I believe that this is needed. The message of Jesus through, as someone said, the glass door, is something that has to continue, and we have to get better for whatever is next. We have to continue to create content that is entertaining, educational, that is inspiring, that is transformational, that is fun, that is educational, that is in front of you nonstop, 24 hours a day. I mean, it really is, I guess, the more I think of it, I don't know the story, but it really is like a PTL, or the 700 Club, or what channel was it? Channel 50? That was a Christian channel way back in the day. I think it was, right? So none of that, of course, exists, nor will it ever come back. But we're talking about being that media company, that media, what is it? That media empire. I don't like that word empire, but that conglomerate, or just simply that media ministry that would help churches. And that, of course, it would pay all of our needs, and as well as our staff. But most of all, would create amazing content that would touch the world with the message of Jesus Christ. That really is what I want to do. And as I said, to be able to teach and preach and lead worship and disciple and mentor on the side, and be able to, coach, do music, coaching calls, or coaching music and teaching, recording and production techniques, all of that I love. All of that, the technical and the ministry. I've always loved media, music, and ministry, the Bible, and the billions, you could say, of people watching. I've always loved that. It's never been one thing for me. It's always been, back to Andrew Huang, a myriad of things. But no matter what I do, it's always about Jesus. And I asked my wife, I guess maybe the closest, I asked her recently, I was kind of like struggling with all this. And I said, love, who am I? And she said, David, no matter what you do, you are, I even wrote it down, it moved me so much. Basically, she said, you inspire, you move people to Jesus. And man, I love that so much. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know if I need to find it, but basically that was it. She basically said, you are someone who, no matter what you do and all that you do, you're going to influence, and you're going to help people meet Jesus, and not meet Jesus like go to heaven and die, but get to know Jesus, learn more about who Jesus is. Let me see if I have the actual phrase that she asked me, or the actual, line that she said. I don't have it here. I can't believe it anyway. But it was something along those lines. So in anything that I do, in everything that I do, I want to communicate and guide people to Jesus. And that is the truth. I've done it as a senior pastor, I've done it as a worship leader, as an administrator, as a media person, as you name it, life coach, all these things. I've done it through all these things, and I want to do it through this new medium of the digital space, which is not that new, but it's definitely where the eyeballs are. This is how I want to do it. And I'm praying that God would give me, I guess, just the patience and the perseverance and connect me with the right people in the right places so that we can see this through. I think the next step would be a building. I would love to have, like I said, a 2-story building like the one I used to have, where we have, maybe it's an old church and we can come in and fix it all up, and it can be a whole floor, it can be 2 floors, and we can bring in all our gear for free because it needs to be rent free. And maybe in a year where we can create enough income, then we can do our thing. And that's really my dream, is to create so much content for the church that we just become this amazing place of love and grace and peace, and to create content. And I know my friend David was doing that, and he came to our church, and we basically were doing that for him. And I thank God for his dreams and his ideas, and we supported him as much as we could until it all fell apart. Not because of, anyway, many reasons. But yeah, that's what I want to do, and I want to push towards it. And yeah, of course, it's scary and it's hard and all these things. Or like my friend Josh was telling me, Trig, everything is hard. You think it's easy to rebuild a church right now in the middle of or post-pandemic? I mean, it's hard. People don't want to give and want to come back to church. I understand. It's tough. And so he said, everything is hard, no matter what you do. And I kept thinking, if everything is hard, then what do I want to give these next 20 years of my life to? As long as God gives me strength. Well, I said, of course, the church. But how? The kingdom of Jesus. But yes, like my mom says, you can do that anywhere, any way you want. How do I want to do that? Well, like I've said, I think these are the ways that I am thinking about helping and doing and kind of getting back into the kingdom of Jesus, back into the church, but through more of who I am and what I bring to the table, the things that I really love for the sake of Jesus. So that's those are the options. Those are the things that I am landing on. And it's scary. It's scary as heck because, as I said, part of me just wants to go and just go work at a church if I can. I hope I can still get hired. I think I can. But to go and be a teaching pastor and make my whatever it is, or go be a lead pastor and do that. But I think that it's this mosaic, as my father-in-law calls it, more what I really have always been and what I'd like to give myself to over these next 10, 15, 20 years, whatever God has for me and for you and for my beautiful wife and our 3 amazing kids. I still can't remember what I was thinking about, but it'll hit me, of course, as soon as I hang up, right? Well, I hope that my process helps you. I know I'm not the only one that is going through this. This is I think a systemic thing that everyone's going through. Even if you have a steady job like I used to have, I was still wrestling with these same things. Of course, wrestling without the income is, I would say, it's worse, but, or maybe not. Now that I think of it, I think wrestling with that particular place was maybe worse than this. I would say yes, but you get it. You know what I mean? It's all difficult. You have to have that very positive and strong mindset, which I know that God has given me to persevere and to not give in to the negativity and to the scarcity, but to live in abundance, live in faith, live in what could be and the possibilities, and most of all, surrendering it all to Jesus. I'm reading a book called The Sodoma Method, which is about surrender and letting all those fears of what if I'm too old, what if I'm homeless, what if I lose my house, what if I can't provide for my wife and she leaves me, what if, all of the different fears, and actually letting that kind of go through your body and kind of not necessarily thinking that's not going to happen or it's silly, just letting that kind of siphon through or go through your body, and then be honest with, well, what does that make you feel? Well, it would make me feel like a failure. And what does that mean? Well, that I would be insignificant, that no one would love me. And then, so what does that really mean? Well, that I guess God would have to love me, or I would have to love myself, or I would have to realize that I am loved no matter what I do. I guess I would have to realize that God always provides, that He always sustains me, that He's always been faithful. I guess I would have to trust. And so you kind of go through this process where you eventually land on, I guess I have to trust God. And I think that is really obviously the best place to be and where I want to be. And I think that the biggest tension that I think all humans feel is this sense of running out of time. And that's how I feel. Like I'm thinking, okay, 9 months. I mean, how much longer? How much more savings? How is this going to work out in 3 months from now? And so all that stuff, of course, it hits me. And so I have to keep thinking, okay, I have to surrender even the time, right? Because even time is just make believe. Yes, of course. If you have $10 and you're spending $2 a day, that means you only have $5, right? But even that, okay, do you really? What about this and that and the other? What if the 2 become 10? What if the 2 fish become 1,000 fish? I mean, what about God? What about miracles? What about everything? What about? And so even though time and space is what stresses me the most, and as well as how much money or how much security do I have, perceived security do I have to surrender that as well. And let that kind of filter through so what I was thinking, filter through my body, let it do what it's going to do, including chaos and sadness and maybe anxiousness and high functioning anxiety and all the craziness of being a human. And then letting that work its way through your body, through your mind, heart, and emotions until you come to this place of surrender. Where you say, even if I have to realize that that's not reality, that's not me. That all those things that I am envisioning are not really me. That's just how I'm perceiving me. The truth is that I am at peace. It is well with my soul. I may be feeling things, or I may be thinking of things, I may be wanting to do certain things, but it is well with my soul because I'm loved by God. And because life is beautiful. And because God is faithful. And even the sting of death He has removed. And so therefore, what am I really worrying about? Well, I know what I'm worrying about, but my point is take those things and let them go through your system, and until you find peace with God, until you say, Lord, it is in your hands. And yeah, I'm that's the struggle, right, for all of us. I'm there half the time, sometimes more than others. And one day in a year or in 3 months or tomorrow, when I have everything I want, whatever that means, meaning money, I guess right now, and safety and security, then I will be happy, right? I think so. And even that, I'm learning, what's the point? Not the point of happiness, but who says that it's happiness? It's funny because the job that I had 9 months ago, 5 years before that, I was the happiest man alive. And yet I kind of knew that this would be the worst experience of my life, which it became. So was I really happy? No. Maybe for the first year I was really happy, but year 2, 3, 4, my point is, even when I had everything, I was not happy because it was just a horrible experience. And I knew it, and I was just trying to survive. And now I would rather just surrender and let the river run through it. Let God lead me and know that He's already leading, that He's already at work, that I'm not working on this alone, that I'm not really even working at it, that I think I'm doing all these things to control and to manipulate, but really it's God who gives you the will and the heart and the way to do anything, like the Bible says. And so I trust you, Lord. Trust Him with me. I invite you, young person, people my age, whoever you may be, my 1 or 2 or 3 listeners on the podcast, whoever, let's trust Him together for whatever you're facing, and to surrender all of that doing, all of that thinking, all of that feeling. Surrender it and realize that none of that is real. It's just your mind, your body, your emotions trying to make sense of something that you can't make sense of. Surrender to God. Read the Sedona Method. Read the Bible, for goodness sake. Pray, meditate, surrender. Stop your nonsense. Stop the craziness. Stop what you know you're doing to manage your wanting to control life and wanting to be safe and to know and to be secure and to be loved. Surrender it. Stop the maniac craziness. Let it go. It's going to be okay. God will take care of you. Okay. Thank you so much for listening, watching. If you are not on Instagram, or I mean, you're not following me on Instagram, but you are on Instagram, make sure you follow me there at David Trigg. That is where I hang out most of the time. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you next time. Adios.